What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fundamentals Investing Podcast. Last Friday, I made this video speculating on another Tesla stock split based on some cryptic tweets that Elon Musk had put out and the retail investment community sort of banding together and drawing conclusions from these tweets. Very conspiratorial type thinking, very heavy on the speculation, no fundamentals. And what would you know, after over 100 videos, this one was the one that blew up. Really, guys? This one is the one that you guys wanted to see the most. And that's totally fine. Everybody liked the speculation. I did too. I thought it was fun to make. And so we're going to make a round two today because there's been more information that has been released that I think is important to fully telling this story. Similar disclaimer as my last video, this is just speculation. It's conspiratorial type thinking. It's just for fun. If that's not your cup of tea, then this video is not for you. Let's jump into it. So before we actually go into the threads, I want to address some outstanding comments from the first video. First of all, there's a bunch of people that said this is stupid and crazy, to which my response was, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm filming it, because it's stupid, because it's crazy, and because I want to actually talk about it. I get joy from talking about these types of threads, from the puzzles, the cryptic tweets, the game theory underlying with regards to the SEC, with regards to, Elon being one of the biggest trolls, definitely the biggest troll billionaire out there. I really enjoy talking about it. Doesn't have any fundamentals. You have 100 other videos for fundamentals. So this is stupid and crazy. Yes, this is the reason why we're making this video and why I make disclaimers at the beginning of this video. Number 2 and number 3 were valid points, I think. People brought up that this could be 1/29, so January 29th, as opposed to 12/9. Totally fair. I haven't seen many people talking about this discrepancy. I don't have any rebuttal to that. It could very well be 1/29 and people are thinking it's 12/9. And then the third point is just a clarification that I didn't make on the first video. 12/9 is going to be the announcement date, not the actual split date. And some of the time that's passed really validates this. Why? Because they have to submit a 10-day notice to the SEC. And I think we are within 10 days of December the 9th, I believe so, within 10 business days. So they would have already made that notice. So I do think that 12/9 is going to be the announcement date, not necessarily the date that it splits. And finally, the fourth comment, splits don't matter. Yes, this is very true. Splits on a technical basis do not matter, because you have one share, you're going to split it out into 5 shares. You have a whole pizza, and instead of having one pizza, you split it out into 5 slices, so to speak. And now you still have 5 slices, but the pizza still remains one whole item. You didn't increase the value of anything. The best rebuttal I've heard to this was Gary Black when he did an interview on Meet Kevin.
Stock was at $13.74 when they announced it on August 11th. It split 5-for-1. So do the math, that's $2.75. By August 31st, which was the split effective date, when it went 5-to-1, it was up 80% in those 20 days. And there's a reason for this. And everybody says, well, it's like taking a pizza pie and splitting it into 8 slices. Is it worth more? And the answer is yes. In New York, if you've ever lived in New York, and you try to sell by the slice, you can get a lot more for your pie than you can if you sell pies. That's just the way it works, because there's some people who just want a slice and they don't want to pay $20 for a pie, but they're willing to pay $4 for a big slice, and you get 8 of them. So the point is, there's definitely value added in the sense that there's management, when they do a stock split, and there's empirical studies that show this, have more confidence in their business. It's almost like self-selection. Those who do splits believe so much better, because no CEO wants to split their stock if they feel bad about their business, because then it drops from there, right? Just think about that. And so Tesla split their stock last year 5-to-1, and I had all these arguments with the bears that this is management being very confident.
If a company splits, they're going to be valued more because more people can sort of get in and they can get more bite-sized chunks of that stock price. If, let's say, I have a total portfolio value of $10,000 and that's all the money that I have to my name, I don't want to buy, one Tesla share that's 10% of my portfolio off the bat if I want to diversify, or one Amazon share, which is 40% of my portfolio if I want to diversify. So a stock split, what that allows me to do is it allows me to portion size according to my own portfolio. And it's been proven that companies that do split perform better. We can see here from Tesla charts, that when the split was announced on August 11th, which seems like ancient history, you started a massive rally. Over the next 12 months, you had about 290% increase since the announcement. And this is something that you might say, well, it's just Tesla being Tesla, but it's actually happening for a lot of companies. Look at Apple's performance. Apple did a split around the same time as Tesla in 2020. Every company that does these splits, while nothing changes from a technical perspective, they all outperform over the next 12 months. So it's definitely a huge positive sign. Even if they do announce another split, just the psychology of people knowing that that's going to happen, they're going to buy in because it also unlocks opportunities for, lower net worth individuals to get in and ride Tesla stock up. We have another big thread here by Rob Graves. He was the one who made the original thread in the first Tesla video. He posted this thread about 14 hours ago as of this recording, and he highlights that this is a similar thread with new pieces. Got some new information I've learned through the help of others, Gary Black, Adam, other people have been following this very closely, and I'm walking back my statement that I doubted December 9th is split related. I can see now how it very well could be. Adam first connected the 12.9 dots, and since I wrote my original thread, Elon Musk has given even more 12.9 references. Visit Adam's account for this. But even if you don't believe 12.9 is anything, Elon is openly hinting at 12.9. Is he trolling? Maybe. Elon has been known to troll. And even if it was a coincidence for December 9th, the fact that the retail community is now so focused on December 9th, it becomes this buy the rumor, sell the news event where Elon could just be trolling because of it now, and he can be playing into the retail investors' hype. Let's just take a look at Adam's pinned tweet here on his account. He highlights all of the evidence that we highlighted in our first video, and he keeps track of every new development that's happening with regards to a December the 9th split by the community, everything that he finds. For example, Elon liked this tweet. It has 912 here. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. Some are spot on, like Rob's last post where he divided the numbers. And then some of them are a little bit far fetched. So for example, this one was a comment that I got in my last video. This painting here, many people thought was a 1209 Viking attack on a village called Ionia, but other people have refuted that, saying that it's from another battle in another year. So it's not 1209 related. Once you get into the nitty gritty, there's a lot of back and forth with this, but Adams is a great account to follow regardless if this is something that even mildly interests you. It's going to be tagged in the description below. Rob is also going to be tagged in the description below, as well as Gary Black. You may want to read my original thread, but to recap, in Elon's recent share selling, a specific block of 934,091 shares was sold 3 times, and it was actually sold again as of Monday, I think it was. It was now sold 4 times. He found the results to be remarkable and beyond coincidence, with almost no effort or logical stretching, which is saying much. For some of the other posts, you need some stretching and some assumptions to actually connect the dots. In fact, 934,091 seemed obvious related to 1209-2021. That made me doubt 12.9 would be split news, since such a direct hint didn't seem legally possible within SEC law. Well, once again, this is where it starts to get weird and very interesting. So people commented in my video as well saying, hey, how can the SEC even allow this if it's so blatant and it's so easy to find? As noted by Gary Black, that the blocks of 934,091 shares were set in motion back in September as a 10B5-1 plan. So here's Gary's tweet. Now, this is important because the 10B5 automated selling program automatically sells stock, and it was set back in place in September. The other trades that Elon has been making, so all of these other block trades here, is him just selling stock. But the fact that he's selling through this program, it's automatically selling this 934,000 shares, and it started back in September 14th, 7 weeks before the Twitter poll where he asked followers whether he should sell Tesla stock or not. He said he was willing to abide by the results, whatever way the decision went, but he had actually put plans in motion to sell stock despite this poll. This is relevant because there's something called MNPI, which is material non-public information. Gary highlights what material non-public information is. When an executive of a public firm wants to buy or sell company shares in their own company, so for example, Elon selling shares of Tesla, he has to affirm that he's not in possession of material non-public information. As long as it's during the open window, 1 or 2 days after the earnings until 2 weeks before the end of the quarter, the request is granted. To get around these window periods, executives file this 10B5-1 trading plans, where they put in place an automatic plan to buy and sell shares in specified quantities in the future. While the 10b5-1 plans cannot be changed, they can be terminated at any time and a new plan can be put in place. So Elon's plan was put in place back in September 14th of 2021, long before the Twitter poll. So the 934,000 block that he's consistently been selling every week means that he can keep selling despite coming into possession of this non-public information. So this insider trading, so to speak. It's knowledge of, for example, when Berlin or Austin are opening, Tesla fourth quarter volume forecasts, a credit upgrade, an acquisition, a stock split. So material non-public information, Gary highlights, can just as likely be negative as positive. However, if it was negative, the lawyers would have stopped discretionary sales, since in hindsight, he had knowledge that Tesla was likely going lower and got in front of it. So going back to Rob's thread, he says, regardless of whether the executive comes into the material non-public information before the preset earnings date, the selling can still happen because it's an automatic selling plan, which Elon put back in place in September. A while back, Gary Black again noted that the Tesla board was likely to meet in the first or the second week of November, and that this is when a stock split vote would have occurred. No material non-public information could have existed until after this November vote. So depending on how that meeting between the board went in the beginning of November, they would have decided whether to split the stock or not. The stock split here requires board approval. Tesla likely meets the second week of the month on Monday or Tuesday, given the earnings cadence. A November board meeting, November 8th or the 9th, would make sense, consistent with the August 11th date of the last stock split. Politically, however, it's hard to split a stock now because of the chatter about Elon being the richest man in the world. A stock split would make him even wealthier. Once we get past November, Tesla would likely have to wait until February to get a stock split vote done. Now, back to Rob's thread, all he's saying is that Elon will be off the hook from the SEC because his trading plan was back in September. In other words, Elon could have made this 934,091 number as obviously connected to 12,0921 as he wanted, since he was most certainly not in possession of material non-public information when he filed the 10b5 in September. In September, he could have suspected that a split vote would occur in November, and he could have suspected that it would have passed by the board, and an announcement date of 1209 could have been suspected as well, or even influenced for that matter. In fact, this could have been the only proposal presented, since it would not constitute MNPI. So we have the SEC point out of the way, and just continuing with this thread, Rob highlights, it hits me a little weird that back in September, he chose the week of the board meeting to sell one block of the shares. So the week of 11-8. Gary Black said it was either the 8th or the 9th. Considering he had many discretionary sales up to the 12th, it's likely that no vote had just happened yet. As Gary points out, execs don't usually sell discretionary sales once in possession of material non-public information. So basically, Gary is highlighting here that Elon sold on these dates, but the date that he got the insider information, he stopped the other sales and he just let the automatic plan keep going. Rob highlights that the vote was likely on the weekend because that's when Elon stopped selling his other shares, because he would have been in defiance of the SEC if he did continue selling those other shares. So if we assume that some of this is true, Elon would have to set up the plan to execute around the time of the board meeting. He would have stopped selling discretionary sales, only selling the 934,000 block, which he planned back in September. He would have also started hinting at the announcement date of December the 9th, shortly after it was confirmed. Maybe it's a coincidence, but maybe all of these things happened, that he forecasted that in the next board meeting, they would approve the date of 12-9 and that he would have been in the clear. Now, the interesting part was that the first reference to 12-9 was on November 13th. It's significant because there's no reference to December 9th earlier than when the board vote would have likely been. So basically, after the board vote is when Elon started making all of the tweets around 12-9. I doubted 12-9 was split related simply because I believe the 934,091 number was clearly too related to 120921, and Elon would be risking SEC consequences. However, the way he's possibly done this is fully legal because he pre-scheduled this in September and he didn't necessarily have information until the board meeting happened, right? The board could have voted that, no, we don't want to have the split on December the 9th, and nothing would have happened. But the fact that Elon started dropping hints after the board meeting, I no longer see a barrier to a split announcement. And as we've suggested, I think there's an elegant hint to the split terms would be the number he sells. So he sold the 934,000 shares 4 times now. And so 4-1 is Rob's guess, but personally, I think that he's going to keep selling more blocks. That I don't think the frequency of how many times he sells is going to be determining of what the stock split is going to be. Quite frankly, I don't really care what it is, whether it's 4-1 or 5-1. A split is a split. Either way, it's a good thing, like we saw in our last charts, right? Rob highlights here that he couldn't imagine how Elon could have reversed engineered this number, but it's not really difficult, with recursive functions being just one way at arriving at this number. Using a series of if then else return statements is another way to do it. So it's not really difficult to reverse engineer it once you actually know what the date is going to be. And so the last thing that Rob highlights here is that there's no discretionary selling by Elon today. So Tuesday. So basically, if Elon sells outside of this automatic plan, then it means that he is not in possession of any insider information. Because if he did a discretionary sale and a split happened, the SEC would say, wait a minute, you had insider information when you sold these shares. So for as long as Elon keeps selling in these block shares, as per the automatic program, he's in the clear from the SEC perspective. So again, as with his other thread, there is more speculation in terms of the comments, which is really interesting. And another point here is with regards to the quote, the history quote by Will Durant, which was a 1209 timestamp, which I highlighted even in my thumbnail for the last video. Somebody found out that it was from a book published on December the 9th, 2014. So, that was just another fun tidbit. And this is the other fun tidbit. Somebody has been mapping out all of Elon's sales in terms of the date. And it seems like he's just playing a game of snake to land on 12/9. We're currently here. So we're going to see if he sells the next day. And then the next selling days to keep this game of snake going, so to speak, is going to be on December the 1st, December the 2nd, and then finally December the 9th to actually sell. We'll see what happens, right? It would be really funny if this happens. That is a lot of information. And it's just confirmation to this point to say, hey, look, we've done all of this speculation and it might be completely random. It might be Elon trolling us, and a split might not happen on December the 9th, or even we might not even have anything happen on December the 9th. But there's nothing that has directly refuted this speculation. And if you know anything with regards to companies announcing acquisitions or announcing huge material non-public information, is quiet is usually good. If nothing were to happen, they would shut that down immediately because of the hype that this event builds. It usually becomes a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is just for fun. I am personally not trading this split at all. I've bought Tesla shares within the last several months. I think within the last several weeks, actually, just to take advantage of Elon selling and buying that dip, because I'm long on the company. It's my biggest position, but I'm not going to buy call options just to take advantage of a rumor. Although I am really hoping for this split to happen. I understand the fallacy of knowing that the more I read about these things, the more bought into this idea I believe. It's sort of groupthink by association. But I do think that it's solid research that has been happening on Twitter by Rob Graves, by Gary Black, by Adam, by many other people, which I'll tag in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, much as if you enjoyed the first video, consider subscribing to the channel, I guess. Drop a like for this video, share it with a friend. I promise I talk about real stocks and real metrics almost every video. For right now, this is the Fundamentals of Investing podcast. Thank you so much for listening.